It's sort of first thing in the morning, so perhaps hopefully the shoulders aren't too stiff yet. They're not too tight, having sat in front of Zoom for too long. But even so, you know, after a night's sleep, if you've had a good night's sleep, I hope you have, we often get some tightness in the neck. So really tuning into your body, even if you're sitting on the floor, and just particularly the upper part of the body, just really, I quite like moving one shoulder and then the other shoulder. I find it's a little bit different than moving them both at the same time. And it just gives me an opportunity to just feel into each side. And then the head, just moving the head one way and the other, just taking great care of the head, because actually the neck is one of the kind of tender spots in the body. Many of us have some achiness in the neck, some stiffness, some clickiness. Okay, and continuing to move in whatever way you'd like to, and my fingers would like to move. So I'm just going to move the joints of my fingers, almost like as if I was practicing my scales, which I never did do enough, I think. I don't know about other people, whether you did your scales really well. You did, yeah, okay. I never did. I just thought they were quite boring, but they're really important. And the fingers love doing scales. And then maybe some starbursts. You know about starbursts? Just opening the fingers up, just really feeling that sense through the fingers and through the wrists. And moving any part of the body that would just like to move as you kind of, it's almost like we're telling the body, well, okay, we're going to start to come into a sit now. So just doing what dogs do. They kind of wriggle around a bit, don't they? My dog used to scratch. She'd stand up and scratch, 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 and then lie down, and it would be exactly the same as far as I could see. But he knew different. He knew different. So doing your dog thing and really coming into a sense of the body sitting here. So just coming in, just bringing the awareness, bringing your mind and your attention directly into the body as it sits. Noticing where your attention goes. It may well go quite quickly to the breath, and I would very much encourage you to go to the base of the body before you move to the dynamic of the breath, or some more specific attention. So perhaps just starting with a sense of the feet, the soles of the feet on the floor if you're sitting, or if you're sitting cross-legged on the floor, maybe the sides of the legs, the sides of the feet. And then the body and the contact with whatever the body is sitting on, the seat or the cushion, the chair. So as best you can, really feeling into the weight of you going down, into the seat, onto the floor. And all the points of contact, all that sense of contact, points of contact, areas of contact between your body and what's holding your body. So helpful to get that sense of being held, being supported. Weight going down. In whatever position you're in, whether you're sitting or lying, sitting cross-legged, just really moving into all those points of contact. All those places where the body is letting itself be held, letting itself experience gravity, pulling us downwards, keeping us safely in contact with the floor, the ground, and ultimately the earth beneath us. And this is such a good place to come back to. At any point in the practice or at any point today, any other day, to come back to just this sense of groundedness. Feet, seat, whether we're standing or walking, sitting, lying. Contact with what is holding us. And then when you're ready, just exploring the other axis of the body, how the body and the body's height moves up through the spine. The spine moving up through the back. And then up to the shoulders, and just noticing, how are the shoulders this morning? Where's the balance or the softness or the tightness of shoulders? Balancing, relating to the spine. And then into the neck, and maybe tucking the chin very slightly, just to get that little stretch up the back of the neck. The nose would still be pointing more or less forward, slightly dipped. And then extending through the middle of the head to the top of the back of the crown of the head. The tallest point of the body. Height moving up. And just really connecting, if you'd like to, with that sense of sitting with dignity. Sitting with purpose and intention. So we have these two movements, if you like, as we take our seat. These two movements of groundedness, weight going down, held. And then dignity, height going up, present. And inviting you to come now to some connection with your intention, perhaps, for this practice. Might be very simple. Simple is good. You don't need loads of words. Perhaps just a felt sense in the body of your intention, of what will support your practice. And supporting your practice, what will support your day, this day. And perhaps if you'd like to, if you've found your intention, not to worry if you haven't, it may well find you later on. But if you have found your intention, maybe just very gently dropping it into the heart. That's where intentions like to rest, in the heart. Wholesome intentions in the heart. So maybe having a sense of that felt sense in the heart of your intention, your direction for today, for this practice. And now when you're ready, coming now to the breath, coming to the breath as it breathes, perhaps deep in the body. And always remembering that if it might be best for you to have a different anchor to the breath. Perhaps the breath isn't the best place to come up close to. Maybe the feet on the floor would be better today. Maybe the hands in the lap, or the hands touching the legs, the knees. Maybe that would be a better anchor to come back to. So really choosing, where are you going to place your anchor? Place that you can comfortably and with engagement come up close to. And if it's okay for you, I'm going to guide you into the breath. But staying with the feet or the hands, if that suits you better today. So coming up close to the breath, just for a moment or two, let's explore the detail of breath. You might even be able to hear the sound of your breath. Remembering that if at any point you notice your mind has wandered away from the breath or away from your anchor, remembering the phrase and remembering to reassure yourself that it's just not a problem. It's always and often part of the practice. So all we do is just notice some sense of wonder or even wonder, and just gently coming back to the breath or coming back to wherever your chosen anchor is located. And perhaps now coming up close to the very beginnings of the next in-breath. And then maybe expanding from the very beginnings of the in-breath to the full scope of the in-breath, the texture, the depth, the feel of it. And now, if you'd like to, let's expand into a sense of the whole body breathing. So if you choose, you can always stay up close to the breath. You can just ignore my words, let them fade into the background. But if you'd like to, just widening the attention into a sense of the body breathing, the whole body touched by the breath. Moving slightly to the breath. And remembering anytime the mind wanders, it's not a problem. It's simply what minds do. So just gently coming back, over and over, coming back. You can come back to the anchor that you're using, or you can come back to the whole body breathing. And then perhaps if you'd like to, let's widen even further. So widening, expanding beyond the body, but including the body, into a sense of the space around us, the space of awareness. So that would be into the room, maybe beyond the room, maybe sounds coming and going. Maybe hearing the silence around you, even if it's just in moments. And if it's possible, and if you'd like to, maybe exploring that sound of silence. There's almost always some sound in there, but that sense of silence, a little bit like the ground holding all sound. Possibility for us to just rest into that ground of silence. Just letting it hold us. And perhaps breathing with it. And then as we come towards the end of this practice, inviting you to connect perhaps once more with the phrases that we used a fortnight ago, for those of you who were on the Zoom call a fortnight ago. So they go like this: in the midst of all this, let me know, and then choose a quality or an experience that you'd like to know. So perhaps it's peace, perhaps it's health. Perhaps it's ease. So in the midst of all this, and then repeating the word that you would like to call to mind. For me, midst of all this, peace, love, whatever you choose to bring to mind. For me, whatever would really help and nurture you at this time, on this day. In the midst of all this, for me. And then if you'd like to, expanding, just as we did with the practice, expanding slightly wider. So in the midst of all this, perhaps bringing the others on the screen to mind, or perhaps bringing somebody who you've been concerned about or you've been thinking about. So in the midst of all this, and then think of a quality or a wish for them. In the midst of all this, for this other, or for these others. And then finally, in the midst of all this, bringing a quality to mind. In the midst of all this, ease for us all, peace for us all, whatever your word is, your individual wish for us all, on the screen and beyond. In the midst of all this, a wish for us all. Okay, so I've just going to go to gallery view so that I can see you. It's lovely to see you all. Really lovely. So yes, a good stretch. That's great. Good stretch is always good, isn't it? Waking up the body. So it was interesting because when I was thinking yesterday, I was sharing this with a group we were together yesterday, and I was saying to them, I don't have a clue what I'm going to talk about today, which is unusual for me, because usually it sort of lingers, and I don't know, a bit like bread or something, you kind of bring it together. And then actually in the night, I remembered I remembered some questions that I used to use with community groups in South Africa when I was there some time ago now. But actually, um, they were very simple words, and it touched me deeply because these rural people in South Africa, living in very simple, poor actually conditions, and strongly affected by HIV and AIDS. I think if I'd asked the same questions of some, I don't know, some tremendously privileged people in, I don't know, some very posh area of Paris or something, I suspect that at the heart of it, their answers would have been very similar. And that really touched me, actually. So the questions are that I'd like to offer you, the questions are: what lifts your heart? What lifts your heart? And the other question is, well, what keeps you awake at night? Because some of the people that I've been in touch with this week have had some very disturbed sleep. So what lifts your heart and what keeps you awake at night? And I think there's an awful lot that could keep us awake just now, both from a personal, individual, from our own experience, our families, our friends, the things that are actually happening and impacting on us now. They could quite easily keep us awake, but actually a wider sense of what's happening in the world. The pain, the worry, the anxiety, it's actually huge. The uncertainty, particularly. And how to hold all of that, particularly in the middle of the night when, I don't know about you, but the middle of the night is, I kind of paddle around. I turn on a light and think, goodness, I wonder what my neighbours think. And then I think, well, actually, my neighbours don't know anything about it. They're probably snoring in bed. They're all young around here. So they're probably not having any troubles in the middle. I hope they're not. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. So one of the people who's dear to me, I was talking about her sleep difficulties. So I recorded a practice for her, and I put it on my website. So you can see it on the front page of my website. So that's www.trishbartley.co.uk. And it's a very simple practice. You probably only have to listen to it. I mean, maybe for you guys with practices, you probably only listen to it once, and then you just can remember it and bring it to mind when you wake in the night. But do give me some feedback as to how I could improve it, because it's just a first off. It's called the resting practice. So what lifts your heart? I thought I'd just spend a few minutes telling you about what lifts my heart. And I've got two little themes, really. So one is a walk I've been doing most evenings. So I've recently moved to a new area. So I walk on different earth. It feels different. There are different weeds. There are different wildflowers. There are different hedgerows. It's very different to North Wales, where I used to live for a long time. Different sounds. And I found, after some weeks, a really very beautiful place. I think I probably mentioned this before in one of the talks. Yeah, Barbara's nodding. So I found this really stunning place behind a hedge, a lake with an island in the middle of the lake, and some beautiful trees and lovely wild flowers and water of this. It's a very small lake, this island in the middle, and it's just so beautiful. And when I first walked around, because I walk around the lake, I walk around 3 times every evening. And I walk around clockwise. It's just what I choose to do. And to begin with, I was very worried that somebody was going to arrive and say, "What are you doing? This is my land. Get off." So I was very vigilant, listening for somebody coming, or dogs, or so I was really alert. So I wasn't really present. I didn't really hear the sound in the trees, or I did see the ducks because they made a hell of a noise. But but there was so much that I missed because I was so much on guard of they're gonna turn me away. I'm gonna be so disappointed when they turn me away. All this anticipation. And then one day, surprise, surprise, somebody turned up, and it was their land, and my heart sank. I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to come back here. And this woman incredibly generously said to me, "I want you to come here. I want you to come." And I was very touched by that, actually. And so, of course, the appreciation and the generosity of these people who planted all the trees themselves. And so, of course, walking around the lake now is a much more open, more full. I'm not listening out. I'm not on guard, waiting to run in case somebody catches me. I can really enjoy it. And walking around now, the path around the lake, it holds much meaning for me. Holds much meaning for me. So I can really bring that to mind. I can bring anybody I've been connecting with that day or any concerns I have. And I find it very helpful to have a place that holds meaning, to have an activity that holds meaning. It doesn't have to be a lake, it could be a tree or a plant or a place. Just somewhere that holds meaning, that we can somehow maybe put down the day and ask that place to hold it with good wishes in the midst of all this. So just briefly, the other thing that has meaning for me, which I've also mentioned to you, is this conductor, Claudio Bardo, who I'm still quite transfixed by and listen to and watch most evenings. He's no longer alive, but I'm finding some videos of him. And it is so beautiful the way he conducts, the way he moves. His left hand, if any of you get a chance to see any of these videos, the movement of his left hand is not just graceful and beautiful, but it's incredibly expressive. It's actually very, very moving. And he brings these orchestras together and to make this beautiful sound together. And as he conducts, he's so present. He's so embodied. He's just absorbed. And, when the music stops, there's a documentary of him. He was asked, what has most meaning for you? And he said, hearing the silence at the end of the piece. Hearing the silence. So it's as if the sound is sort of being taken in by the people and the walls and the ground and by him. Yeah. So hearing the silence. And thank you so much for coming to this session again. I'll be doing another one in a fortnight. And Becca is back tomorrow with her lovely sessions. I think at 8:30 they are. Is that right? Is anybody following them? Yes, 8:30. So go back to the free practice session page, and you'll see things there. So let's just say goodbye, and real love and good wishes to you all. Yeah, go well. Have a day which lifts your heart, I hope. Okay.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you.
Take care. Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks, Trish.
Take care.
Thank you.
All the best, Trish. Thanks very much.
Thank you.